This is a continuation, folks. This is Brother Peter, tidbits from the Word for how did Jesus raise. Now he's visiting. We saw he visited Mary Magdalene. She went and told the disciples. They came back. They didn't believe her, so they run over to the sepulchre. And they look in, and he's not there. And we were in verse 24 of chapter 24. And 34, verse 34 says, saying, the Lord is risen indeed, and hath appeared to Simon. So let's read verse 27. And beginning at Moses, we're going to stay at 34. Okay. And saying, the Lord is risen indeed, and his sepulchre. And they told what things were done in the way, and how he was known of them breaking bread. Now Jesus came in a resurrected body, and he broke bread with those folks, and there he was in that place. And now we're going to go back to right here, Matthew 28, 5 through 10. We're going to flip over now to where he appeared to Peter, and that was 24:34. Luke 24 and 34 was where he appeared to Peter. And by the way, he picked Peter out especially because Peter had denied him. Y'all remember the first thing when Mary Magdalene came to the sepulchre. He had told them he was going to raise, but it didn't take effect. And he told the disciples he was going to raise, and it didn't take effect. There's a reason for that, and a very, very good reason for that. In the human sense, without the Holy Spirit, you cannot believe such a thing. You cannot believe it by faith. You cannot believe it and accept it into your heart by faith. Humanly speaking, what he did was not possible, and it's not possible except through the Holy Spirit and through faith. Therefore, it cannot be received if you're not in the Holy Spirit. The preaching of the gospel, if you please, is foolishness to those who are without. They're outside. It's foolishness. Now, if I wrote a love letter to my wife, and I said, dear wife, dear Ernestine, I named her, and I told her all these love things and hugs and kisses and all that, and you found that letter laying on the ground, you picked it out and read it, you'd throw it back down. It wouldn't mean anything to you. But if your name was on it, it would mean a whole lot to you. And that's how the Bible is. You know, the Bible is a love letter and directions to a Christian. It's over the head, over the top of the head of a non-believer. But on a believer, it's in the heart. There's a lot of difference if you believe or not believe. Now, Mary stuck her head in there, and the angel said to her, what are you looking for? Well, she was over there in the flesh looking for someone who said, I'm going to raise, and I won't be here. When you come in the morning and take a look, I ain't going to be here. And he said, I'm going to spend 3 days hard the earth, as the devil did, and as Jonah did in the belly of the whale. Okay, now we're back in our home base, and our home base is where we kicked off on this thing this morning, which was in Matthew chapter 28, and we read there in 28 some things. Now you've got to follow through. You've got to follow through the book. Let's look at over in Luke again. Let's flip over to Luke chapter 24, and let's read verse 13 and see what he's saying here. Now, what am I doing this morning? I'm walking through the pages of this Bible. Say, Peter, you haven't got it put together. I got it put together. But you know what I like to do? I like to redo it every time I do it. I like to do it new. I don't like to take my old notes and go right back through and look at it. I want to take some new notes, and I want to go back through, and I want to reread what I read, and I want to look for that which I missed. Have you missed something? You sure have. Miss it every time. Miss something every time. Miss it every time. How many of you have drove to work every morning for 12 years or so, and to the same place every day down the same road, and all of a sudden you come home one night and say to the wife, say, do you know about mile 3 down there, I was looking and I saw a long driveway with a big old red house up at the end of it. Have you seen that? And your wife says to you, yeah, that's been there ever since you've been driving that road, and it's the first time you'd seen it. Well, you drive through this book right here. You can read and read and read and read, and you can reread, and there's some things you don't see. Well, if you take your old notes and drive the same route and look at the same things every time to get to the same place. When I leave my house in the morning, to go to a little town down the road that I work in, sometimes I'll go straight out there and hit a road and go in that way. Totally different, but I'm going to the same place, but on a different road. Sometimes I go over and hit the interstate and go in. Sometimes I leave the house and drive right straight in. Sometimes I'll go a couple of 4 or 5 little more crooks and go. And so I'm driving different roads, but I end up in the same place every time with the same answers every time. So let's go back over here. We're in Luke 24 and verse 13. And behold, to them went that someday to a village called Evangelist, which was in Jerusalem, about 3 furlongs. Okay, now they went 3 furlongs into this town, Jerusalem, and that means they walked part of the way into it. You say, what's 3 furlongs, Brother Peter? Well, 3 furlongs is it's a measurement used in the Bible days. And they talked together, all of them, about things that had happened. And it came to pass that while they were communing together and reasoned, Jesus himself drew near and went with them. But their eyes were holden that they should not know him. Now we got us a deal. Their eyes were holden that they should not know him. He did not reveal himself to them spiritually. Here he is in the body. He's raised. They're walking along, talking, kicking rocks, and you know how you walk along, kick a rock, and we talk, and you're not really looking around, paying attention, and Jesus is walking with them now. He's drew up behind them, and he's walking on with them, and their eyes were holding. I love that. When you read something like that, dig into it and find out what it's saying. It's saying that he did not want them to see him that second. So he's going to walk with them a little ways. He's going to listen to what they're saying. He already knows what their heart is, but he's going to listen to what they're saying with their mouth for a few minutes. And verse 17, then he said unto them, what manner of communication are these that ye have one with another, as you walk and are sad? What's the matter? He said, what are you talking about? Did you not hear me before I went to the grave, that I said I was going to raise? Did you? How come you're not talking about the resurrection? How come you're not talking about what I said I was going to do? How come you're talking this way? And the way they were talking, and they were sad about it. And the one of them, whose name was Cleophas, answered and said unto him, art thou a stranger in Jerusalem, and hast not known the things which have come to pass in these days? And he said unto them, what things? And they said unto him, concerning Jesus of Nazareth, which was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how the chief priests and the rulers and they delivered him up and crucified him. But we trusted that it had been that he which should have redeemed Israel. And besides all this, day is the 3rd day since these things happened. Yea, and certain women also were among them. Now listen, this was the 3rd day, and he was with them.